Regional Council meeting to order. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is being recorded and published on the publicly accessible website. Council and CAO additions. Are there any additions, councillors?
I have one, and that's regarding appraised value of our light industrial.
Thank you. Mr. Barry?
No, Mayor, no additions.
No other additions? Very well. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda?
Oh, sorry, Mayor. Would you like to make a change in the agenda?
Well, we would. Do we need a motion? Do we need to amend the agenda, the order of the agenda? Very well.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to move the petitions and delegations from item number 7 to just after item number 4, so between 4 and 5. Can I get a motion then to adopt the agenda as amended? Moved by Councillor Dolan, second by Councillor Roper. All those in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes, special regional council minutes of October 7th and the regional council of October 13th. Motion to adopt. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Penny, seconded by Councillor Roper. All those in favor? Carried. Petitions and delegations. Tonight, firefighter Tim Laguerriere is being presented with the Federal Fire Service Exemplary Service Award. This important medal recognizes his long service of 20 years dedication to the fire service and to the safety of the public. The significance of this medal represents an exclusive rank. Tim began his career as a paid on-call firefighter with our community before serving as a career firefighter, where he continues to serve to the present day. Having marked 20 years in the fire service, and more specifically in our community, is an honor to all of us personally and to the Northern Rockies Fire Rescue. His experience in the Northern Rockies over these past many years and his dedication to service are an example not only to his fellow firefighters, but to our community at large. I extend my sincerest congratulations for achieving this grand milestone. Your extraordinary contribution is valued and greatly appreciated in our community. Tim, on behalf of Regional Council, I am very pleased to ask you to come forward so I may present you with the BC Long Service Medal Award.
Wait just a minute. Another couple minutes here. Close up.
Thank you, Tim.
Virtual handshake, please. Virtual handshake. Thank you. Public comment period. Does anyone have any comments on the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Business arising, outstanding items, Recreation Center update. Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Mayor. So at the last meeting, we talked about opportunities to increase the available times, open times for the rec facility, which we've been working diligently in the background. If Hillary, if you can pop that PDF up. So where we are currently, we'll do this a bit of a snapshot of the current situation. So we've been increasing the time of the rec facility, and specifically the on Sundays. So starting on the 1st, we'll have the facility open for 4 hours on the Sunday, which will allow single public swim right now. From a staffing perspective, we're still working on the staffing issue at the pool and looking at working towards getting that staffing complement back up. So I'll get more into that shortly here. And then the arena will have a 4-hour family skate on the Sunday from 12 to 4. And if we see that the numbers bump to the 50 patron level, then what we'll do is we'll probably split it up to two family swims. Family skates. Typically the family skates on the Sundays haven't been that high in demand in the past, but given current circumstances, we're not quite sure what the uptake will be on that. So essentially the facility will be open from 12 to 4 with the intent to start rolling out additional time as we increase the capacity we have there, and also hopefully increase our efficiencies with some of the sprayers and programs we put in place to help reduce the time it takes to disinfect the facility. What you have here is just a quick snapshot of the facility from a 7-day work week. 7-day week. You'll see the Sunday and Monday has a reduced schedule. Sunday, essentially, the facility is open from 12 to 4 at this point, starting the 1st. From the 1st to the 8th, we'll have one family swim. That's all we can cobble together right now with the manning we have. And then following the 8th, the intent is to be able to provide two swims during the Sunday, with the intent as we start moving forward. Hopefully, we can continue to do more. Unless, of course, with the given numbers and communication from the province and stuff, increased restrictions could be put in place. So we're not quite sure what that looks like. So the Sunday, we have that 12 to 4, the little 3 black hashes there. Basically look at the one single swim on Sunday from 1 o'clock till 2:20. And then so that'll be for the 1st and the 8th, the first 2 Sundays. And after that, we'll get a couple swims in. Monday afternoon, the arenas are open, and we'll have some ice users be able to take advantage of the arenas. And of course, then from Tuesday on, we have more of a regular work days to the best that we can. And this is just when the facility is open. The various areas of the facility is not specific schedules in terms of what we're actually providing as a service. That said, for the pool on the Sunday, we were successful to recert previous lifeguards. So they start this week and require 10 shadow shifts as part of their recertification before they can be utilized as a person on the pool deck. We did have a second that was going through the recert program and to drop out. So we're just working through the process of getting that individual back here in a couple weeks time, hopefully. Working through the process of doing, based on council's previous direction in regards to the lifeguard program, to provide lifeguard training. And one of the things that's going to do is it'll pro about 130 hours worth of services out to provide that training. So the lessons that we hope to roll out here in short order will be a little delayed, a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. We get these lifeguards trained up, and then we'll have the ability to provide some extra resources, including lessons versus doing the lessons and not training the lifeguards. So we have that in the works. And then there was discussions at the last meeting too regarding School District 81 and that program. And the indication from School District 81 is that they're interested in the program and looking at providing that program if all works out well in the new year, sometime possibly in January. So that's where we are with the schedule we brought back, and just to open up for any questions that council may or may not have.
Any questions, councillors? Councillor Souls.
I have a question, not about the schedule. I think that actually is good, and how you've described it, it's coming together quite well as far as I can see. I just noticed though that when our CAO speaks, that it says that Jaylene McIver is speaking. So are you tagged to that mic? Okay.
Well, it's no, the bear pit is me.
The bear pit is you.
There's a bear pit.
Yeah.
It's Jaylene signed into the Zoom, so she's the user. So yeah.
Not as evident in the pictures on the screen.
And for those who know Jay, I don't think her voice is this low.
Yeah.
So that said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Councillor Penny?
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate I can just tell by looking at this schedule that it's not so easy just to throw it together and come up with ways to make this happen. I really appreciate all the effort that it's taking from both sides of the road here to make this happen. Really
Appreciate that, and the all the staff, but the rec staff especially have done a very commendable job navigating through the various restrictions and the orders that are in place. I mean, if you look at the announcement, I'm not sure if council's seen the announcement that came out of Fort St. John here last week around the arena. The North Piece Arena was scheduled to open November 2nd, and now it's just pushed to the new year. And of course, they've run into some issues at the curling rink too. So, and again, staffing and just being able to do this. So it's a testament to the group that's there and being able to navigate around some of the restrictions that we have. If there's no other questions on the pool or sorry on the rec facility,
Councilor Roper.
Just one question. How are the user groups finding the new hours? Did we speak with them? Is anyone taking advantage of the extended hours that we're operating in?
So we have had conversations. Obviously, I haven't had the conversations directly, but the number of various user groups, including we're trying to create that balance, as I was mentioned previously. So haven't had. I mean, obviously, each user group have their own defined needs, and we've tried to create a balance, and the balance between the organized user groups versus the general public is another reason why we've added, like minor hockey, for example. We punted one of the times on a Saturday during minor hockey to allow a public or family skate on a Saturday, just to try to accommodate that. And then we also have one on a Friday evening. Generally, it's been good. There's been lots of communication, but at the same time, especially with the organized ones, it's been a challenge for them themselves because they have the right safety plans, et cetera. And it's just been an uphill battle for them. This here, we've talked, Wednesday to Sunday in the past, and there's been some staffing issues with that. Our CBA allows us to go to that and pay straight time for that, but there's also some staffing challenges, which, if there was concerns or with regards to that, we can chat in camera regarding that. This particular, we've tried to take the best and create a balance with what we have here. With, for example, Monday with the Super League, we're curling. We've been able to accommodate that and utilize some ice times here. And then similar to allow some, families to access the facility, which includes the walking track on the Sundays. The survey that went out was able to help us in terms of programming and having running on the walking track, which requires registration, people are required to register during that, of course. So I would say generally it's been positive, of course, not without its challenges. And when people look at it, it doesn't necessarily fit, but the pool, we're trying to accommodate the early morning lane swimmers with the evenings. So we've got 2 days a week, one way, 2 days a week, another way. And the hope is that we just have the ability to grow from it. That said, with the numbers, the way things are going right now and further communication, or I should say, and the information that's out there, Alberta is communicated some restrictions, additional restrictions, and the like. So, yeah. So, unless there's any other questions specific to this, I do have a couple more things specific to COVID that I just chat with council briefly on too.
Sure. Councillor Andrews, any comment?
We can take that down.
No, I'm good on this end.
Okay, thank you. I guess the only thing I would say is I noticed that the graph on the screen, the blocks are getting filled up, and that's good to see. But as you'll probably speak to here, we're running into bigger problems with COVID-19 than we had before, and things change. And I think a lot of the provinces across the country are coming in with tighter and tighter restrictions. So whatever plans we make here with the rec center are, of course, always subject to any changes that the Ministry of Health makes. And, we'll have to navigate those as they come along. Mr. Barry, COVID-19?
So just a couple of general, today there was some new restrictions put in place around private spaces and private events. So Dr. Bonnie Henry announced that private gatherings will be limited to the direct household, people who live in the household +6. And the information that we're receiving, it seems more related that a lot of the cases that they're seeing and the uptick in cases is related to social gathering and the private gathering. So It was also communicated during her update that there's an expectation that residents wear non-medical masks when they're out in public, and basically I think it said stop short of having it as a mandatory requirement. So what we'll be doing is in our municipal communication and signage, we'll be start highlighting that recommendation of, recommending people mask wearing in public, especially in the municipal spaces. So you'll see that like at the rec center and in all of our facilities. Additionally, we've been working on some processes and some policy for council. So you'll see here in the near future a revised meeting safety procedure that defines public spaces and clear defined processes for public access to non-public spaces, including these offices. So right now, typically we use the bear pit as areas for public, if we're to meet someone in public or have to bring someone in from the public where we can. And of course, we got the front lobby, and anything past that area typically is non-public. And again, it's to have that clear separation and to protect the workspace, and reduces the amount of disinfection required with the amount of traffic, foot traffic. That said, there are times that either we as employees or similarly council, or in the mayor's case, the mayor's office, if you need to bring in someone from the public to have a meeting, we've increased the protocols that we communicate with council what that looks like in terms of screening and how that individual makes it into or individuals into various areas of the facility if it's a non-public space. And again, it's just more to increase the controls and the measures so that we can ensure that we continue to provide a safe working environment for the employees. And additionally, we have an elected officials COVID safety policy too that we'll be providing for council for the elected officials. So we have some recommendations in terms of conduct and what to do and not to do, and it's something that I think that we would put forward for council to get council's blessing and support and resolution as a policy of your own. So expect that coming here shortly too. So I think I covered it.
Any other questions? Councillor Andrews? Nope. Okay. Very well. Moving on. Admin report number 72, staff appointments, acting positions and responsibilities. Mr. Barry. Ms. McIver.
Sorry, forgot the mic. This is a standing annual requirement. Usually it comes to council in November. This year it's coming a little early because we've had some changes in the staffing complement over the recent months. So it recommends a series of kind of new appointments or changing appointments within the staff that are existing. So it's just for council's review and approval.
Councillors, are there any questions on the staffing? Very well. Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to accept this then. Moved by Councillor Penny, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Admin report number 73, late 2020 fourth quarter grant and aid requests. That the grant and aid policy be waived to approve the 3 applications for the 2020 grant and aid program funding. Mr. Barry?
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. So as council's aware, the intake for the final quarter of the 2020 program has passed. That being said, there was a pot of funds remaining in the budget, mostly because a majority of the early applications that were approved were associated with different events. Obviously, with the pandemic, those events didn't occur. And for many of those groups, they didn't redeem their grant and aid. So there were 3 applications that have been received since the last intake deadline that all fit within council's principles for the grant and aid program, and they're available there for council's consideration.
Any questions on the grant and aids? Very well. I'll ask for a motion then that we approve the grant and aids. Option 1, moved by Councillor Roper, seconded by Councillor Souls. All those in favor? Carried. Admin report number 74, Northern Rockies Airport website migration.
So this one is, there's no recommendation on this one, but it's for council's consideration. So As you're aware, our municipal website redesign project's well underway. When we put the project out for proposals, we asked proponents to consider quoting on a migration of all of our sites, because at this point we have 3 different websites, as well as we're looking at creating an ECDev website. The 3 that we have today are all hosted under separate systems, separate web hosts. We've had challenges with 2 of our websites being hacked and down for any period of time. And so there's obviously some efficiencies and security improvements when all are managed under the same platform, under the same securities, registered with the same certificate, etc. So one of the things we overlooked was that there may be additional cost, obviously, in migrating all of these websites. So we had a budget established for the municipal website. We had budget for the tourism website, and we had budget for the ECDev investment site. We did not account for the airport website or any costs to migrate that one in. That being said, the project was bid under budget, so it's looking like we may have sufficient budget within to do that project, but we just want to make sure that we've covered ourselves if something comes in over. And we identified that the regional connectivity stage 2 budget within the planning area is likely to go unused this year as a result of things learned since then and dealing closer with Northwest Health. So we've flagged that as a potential reallocation of those funds if the airport website budget requires it. So for council's consideration.
Any questions, councillors? Councillor Roper.
Have we assessed the progress on phase 1 of the connectivity strategy?
So the phase 1, the recommendations of the connectivity strategy were largely to begin developing an improved relationship with the service provider, Northwest Health, because essentially they own the infrastructure. So to create redundancies and things that they already own would be a gigantic amount of work. So the low-hanging fruit, as identified in the strategy, was to start working with them to improve their service, to improve their infrastructure. So staff's been working as a result of conversations during UBCM with citizen services and identifying funding. It's trying to match make between the province and that funding pool in Northwest Health. So I think there's small gains being made that were recommendations of the strategy. To say that we can check it as complete, I think we're a ways from that. But what we'd identified as being stage 2, which would be developing our own logical network diagram, it's not something, it's something that a service provider does for themselves. It's based on their own infrastructure. So for us to tackle that project, it's kind of like looking from the outside in. It would be a challenging task to undertake, is how I understand it now. Trying to create a system based on someone else's infrastructure without having the full picture at hand, it would be a pretty big challenge, which is why we've basically concluded that that would go unused.
Councillor Roper.
So if we delegate these funds from phase 2, are we deferring a decision on phase 2, or is this the final decision on phase 2 going forward?
So I think it's fair to assume that we would never undertake a logical network diagram. Like we wouldn't undertake that work at all. So it would be, there would never be a case that we would come back and ask for that budget again. But phase 2 or stage 2 of the regional connectivity strategy would be a larger decision of council, because it would be changing course. It would be, do you want us to now spend efforts and potentially funds to seek another service provider, right? If we've concluded a year from now that efforts to work with Northwest Health have been unsuccessful, then we'd be looking at other recommendations of that strategy. And I think that would be fair to say that's stage 2 or phase 2, is that we've tried that. So now we're going to go to plan B. That would be the next, that would be a decision of council, though. I don't think that would be made at the operational level. So I hope that helps.
Any other questions? Very well. Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion then. That council reallocate the regional connectivity stage 2 capital budget to provide for the migration of the Northern Rockies Regional Airport website as part of the overall municipal website redesign project. Moved by Councillor Dolan, second by Councillor Souls. All those in favor? Carried. Admin report number 75, airport fencing material update. Mr. Barry?
Luann, you're on the line? Here she goes.
There she is.
Hi.
Ms. Watson, go ahead.
Third time's a charm for this one. So we're bringing the airport fencing material contract back to you. This one was originally awarded to a BKT wall in July and again re-awarded to M. Walker in October. Both reasons being that the materials that they priced out didn't meet the specs as requested within the original opportunity. So M. Walker's come back to us and advised that he cannot meet the price that we awarded at $271,000. And so we made several attempts to obtain an updated price from him, and we did not receive a response in a timely manner. But we did go back to Ben and confirmed that his September price of $362 remains good, and he's willing to hit the go button if it be awarded to him. There is sufficient money in the budget, and we do have further information provided to you in an in-camera report.
So this would mean instead of having someone from outside the municipality do this work, we have somebody from inside the municipality doing this work. Is that correct?
Correct.
Very well. Any questions? Very well. Hearing none, I will ask for a motion. Moved by Councillor Roper, seconded by Councillor Penny. Did we accept this recommendation? All those in favor? Carried. Front page. Thank you. Admin report number 76, Northern Rockies Regional Airport, critical buildings, renewal grant application, investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, rural and northern communities. Ms. Watson?
So this opportunity presented itself in June of 2020, and the airport facilities were the prime candidates that fit the criteria of the program. We already had an HVAC replacement and a roof replacement at the NAVCAN portion at the air terminal building, scheduled for rehabilitation for 2021. And some preliminary planning was underway for both those projects this summer. So we did some further in-depth assessments for both the airport terminal building and the maintenance garage. Both buildings are critical and both are aged and in need of some attention. So we increased the scope for the existing planned work for 2021, and both buildings are due for both HVAC systems, exterior and electrical systems. The entire terminal roof can be done, and the maintenance garage also has some interior repairs for walls, plumbing, and offices. The total project ask for this is $2.1 million. And that's a Class C estimate being 25 to 40% contingency.
Thank you. I note that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality commits to ineligible costs that may arise as well as costs overruns that may occur. Is that contingency for that particular event?
That's a requirement right in the grant guideline itself. So it's just looking that in the event costs exceed any awarded amount, that we would address those costs.
Are there any questions, councillors? Very well. Hearing none, I will ask for a motion. Moved by Councillor Roper, seconded by Councillor Souls. All those in favor? Carried. Administration report number 77. 2021 CRI grant, wildfire fuel treatments.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a an annual application that we're submitting to the Community Resiliency Fund. We need a council resolution to proceed ahead with the application. This one here is a little bit lengthy because you may have seen a couple of these versions in 2019, 2020, and 2021 will be the third time that we've put applications in. We are still working on them. We have received 3 approved grant funding programs through the Community Resiliency programs. This one here is basically targeted for this application year to do field treatments adjacent to the community trail and an area between the community trail and the Lagoon Road that were identified as high to extreme fire hazards. And this one also is a little bit different because we put some grant funding in, or a grant funding request to ask for some support on a part-time basis to give us some staff support to facilitate the Fire Smart program on a part-time basis, about 3 days a month, because we're finding that just with what we've got on our plates that it's a little bid hard to keep up with. So we need the council resolution to proceed with the application. The application has already been submitted.
Can I get a motion then? Moved by Councillor Roper, second by Councillor Penny. All those in favor? We'll get that application in quickly.
Thank you very much.
Very well, Northern Rockies Region Municipality 2021 Permissive Tax Bylaw 187 2020 for adoption. This has received first, second, and third reading, I believe. And so this is a motion for the adoption of the permissive tax exemption. Is there any comments? Very well, I'll ask for a motion then. Moved by Councillor Dolan, seconded by Councillor Roper. All those in favor? That's carried. Council information package, October 14th, 2020. Council information package, October 21st, 2020. Received for information. Standing items for discussion. Are there any council reports? Yes, go ahead.
I attended today a Microsoft Teams meeting, which is new to me, with the agriculture labor research study that's being done, and it's for introductory meeting and going over the agenda for the study and what it would entail, and bringing forward the recommendations of the organizations and individuals that should be interviewed on for information regarding that. And just regarding the relevance of a study like that for the Northern Rockies, I did mention to the whole group there that it's a little bit awkward when you're looking at the northeast corner of the province, and the terms of reference, they indicate that the prime method of finding information would be to interview existing agricultural organizations and entities and businesses and so on for information looking forward to try to help determine what the needs for labor would be over the next 10 years. And at the same time, acknowledging that most of the people in agriculture and in the agricultural organizations are 65 years old or over. And so it's not very likely. And so I challenged them, saying that we actually need a different paradigm to work from, that we can't only look backwards to what does exist in order to try to project what we will need looking forward. So somehow I want to see more room for whether you call it visioning or whether you call it speculating or what, but something in that. So that was actually very good to have that in the very first meeting. And I got some fairly serious support from that feedback from other people involved. So we'll carry on from there. We didn't do any substantive work today except to get the ball rolling. So that's it.
Very well. Any other council reports? I have a couple. I met with the Rangers. They came and visited. Their supervisor slash, what would you call it, regional manager was here. They came up with the Rangers and told us about what the Rangers do in our community as far as search and rescue goes and assistance to the RCMP. And it was good to listen to them and good to see the enthusiasm in our community for that sort of efforts that are very much needed because of our large land base. Further, I attended a meeting with the Resource Municipalities Coalition. HDR has been awarded the contract for doing the study on the rail. HDR actually was my first choice for which company would be selected to do this, simply because of their background in rail analysis, and they're very knowledgeable both with railways in general and with CN in particular. And they spoke a bit about how the similarities here are something like what they see in Wisconsin, where CN has divested itself of the shorter lines, and there may be some opportunities in northern British Columbia for short line operators. So I was very pleased, and I passed on the contact information to our economic development team to reach out to HDR and to talk to them about the struggles that we're having with rail in the Northern Rockies, and how important it is for rail to be part of the solution to get economic development going here. So very encouraged with their approach, and look forward to seeing their final report. Any other reports? Strategic priorities? Very well. New business items. Councillor Souls.
Okay, given that in our community at this point we have a lot of appraisal work that's been going on in the private sector, in the private world of housing and BC assessment, and have been doing a lot of appraising and so on. One of the things that interests me is that in the future, looking forward, I'd like to have an idea as a councillor what kind of value our light industrial land to the south of us actually has. We know that I know from an appraisal perspective, we know that there's sunk costs and other things that are particular to the municipality has investment in, and the partners do as well. But that aside, not looking at that, I'm looking at it from a realty point of view. What is that land? What should that land be valued at under an appraised system? So I'm wondering if anyone else has comments on that, whether or not they feel that it'd be wise to get an appraiser. Appraisals are not typically very expensive. Hire an appraiser to do an appraisal on our light industrial properties.
Councillor Roper.
I would be very much in favor of at least having that information. Just in case there's any decisions we need to make, we can have as much information as possible. So yeah, great.
Perhaps we can get staff to look into the appraisal of that, and perhaps we don't even need to do an appraisal of the total area. I mean, even if we had some sample properties to keep the cost down, would give us a very good idea of what the value of that land is. Mr. Barry, any comments?
Council would like us to bring back some information or a report regarding some options for appraisal, what that would look like. We can do that if council wishes.
Councillor Soul, would you like to make that motion?
I would like to make the motion that staff does exactly what you just said.
Moved by Councillor Soul, seconded by Councillor Roper. All those in favor? Carried. Any opposed? No. Very well. Public news media questions. Regional municipality, budget, priority set by council, or agenda business. Are there any questions? None online. Very well. I'm going to ask for a resolution to move to a closed meeting then. Moved by Councillor Dolan, seconded by Councillor Penny. All those in favor? Carried. And I'm going to ask for a motion to temporarily adjourn the regional council meeting. Moved by Councillor Roper, seconded by Councillor Souls. All those in favor? Carried.